Hey guys, this is Captain William Townsend with the Staked Out Podcast. Today I'm gonna be working on my trailer. I'm gonna be changing the wheel bearings out, cleaning them, getting them all ready. Had a couple of days off because of weather. Okay, so here we are. So I have my 17.8 Professional here. I got it in the shade. Like I say, it is a beautiful bluebird sky. I should be on the water, but some things are more important. So I'm going to be changing these bearings, pulling this hub out. I got a floor jack, and these are the tools. So I have a bar to help me loosen the lug nuts. I've got some towels to cleaners, my gloves, some liquid PB blaster in case I need to loosen anything up, brake parts cleaner, Kim dip, that's what I put my bearings in. You get that at O'Reilly's. I just put all the parts in there, dip it in there, and it removes all the grease. Got new grease for packing. Got a new lube grease for my grease gun here. Paper towels, and the tool bag that I used in my boat. And so I'll be using the lug nut wrench like you've seen in the previous video. Also have a pair of safety gloves and a spare dirty rag just in case I need it. But anyways, let's get started. Get this knocked out. 13/16 inch wrench here that I use for breaking the lugs, so I'm just going to go through it, just pop them. I have the other tire blocked in so that way it won't move. So you can see it's fairly easy to just loosen these up with when you have a pipe, and usually I keep a pipe in all my trucks. Okay, so those are all broken. Let's get with and jack this up. Keep the jack on. Got the jack stand on. Now let's remove the tire. Okay, I'll set these lug nuts aside. Again, on my Ramblin' trailer, they're 13/16. This is the original trailer, 2001 trailer, but I did buy a new axle. So, and then, as you can see, there's tons of grease on the inside of that tire, so I'm going to be cleaning all that up, as well as kind of brushing around, cleaning all this stuff up. So there's the trailer removed. Next part, we'll be taking the grease cap off. I'm going to try to use all the tools that are in my boat tool bag, just since we did a video of that. Hopefully that will work. There it goes. So there's the caps off and the grease. Even though I've recently put this in, it looks pretty nasty. Being that I don't dry launch, I have to do my bearings more regularly. I just don't. I had a friend rip the bow eye off of his boat when he was dry launching one day, and I don't need a $3,000 fix for a $30 fix. Okay, all right guys, so now we got to remove this race here that keeps this cap on so we can access the cotter pins and things like that. So what I had to do to loosen it up, because this is aluminum, is I put a rag around here and went in with a hammer. And if you have a rubber mallet, it would work a lot better. And there it comes out. So there you have the grease fitting. So now I can access my bearings. I screw the cap back on, so that thing is all good. Next part, I'm going to put on my gloves and get started into tearing into this. I'm going to use out of my kit. And I usually just grab that, tap it out. So there's my cotter pin. I'll just sit that in there. Now I'm just going to unscrew the bolt. Right there. That, the cotter pin, and then we'll start working the bearings loose. There's your bearings. It's your bearings, your washer. As you can see, the grease is pretty worn. And then I'll pull this out and get ready to put that down. So now I got my hub and assembly removed. As you can see, it's definitely in need of cleaning. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap this out. I got a socket that's big enough to fit down in here, so I took two 2x4s, set them like that apart. So then I'll put that rag down that I've been using, my dirty rag, put it underneath like such, and then we'll proceed to tap these out. I'm going to be replacing this, and that takes out that back end seal. Yeah, you can see the rust. And that's what it is. So you can see it's not the easiest of tasks, and that's why we need to get in here and do this. I'll put a little PB blaster on it. Alright guys, so now I tapped it out. The seal came out, pulled out. As you could tell, it was definitely rusted in there, and definitely needed to be looked at and replaced. So that's why it's important to do this here than on the side of the road. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to clean my parts and clean all this out. So next up, I use this Kin Dip. I've had it for years. So what this does, has a little bucket in it. You set your parts inside it, and get all that nasty grease off of it, and you don't lose your parts. I'm going to take this plastic off here and dip that in there also, that aluminum. clean all that grease, and I'll just let it sit, let it do its magic. That's why you need to wear your rubber gloves, is I'll just go and start cleaning my hub out. Oh. All right, then what I do is just take that brake cleaner, just kind of shoot it in here. Use that brake cleaner and shoot it all in here. Then I get some paper towels and just get all that old grease out and make sure it's all spotless, and we put everything new and back on board. Usually I don't do the races on the interior. They're usually pretty good, so I don't usually remove those. It's the seal on the back that blows out and blows grease out that does the worst. Real good and clean. So that's done. Again, set that down. Alright guys, I think that's it for this part of the video. Next I'm going to go purchase 2 new sets of bearings, a new rear seal, and then we'll be ready to grease this up and put this all back together. So I'll get back with y'all shortly, and we'll continue on with that. Alright guys, here we are. We're back at the boat in the trailer, about to reassemble. I went and actually found all the parts at O'Reilly's. So I found the oil seal, or the grease seal, and the 2 bearings, and it was pretty simple. They're standard, so it made it really simple. So now what I'm going to do, oh, and the parts were $53 for it, so it's a cheap fix compared to working on the side of the road and doing all that. So now we're going to start reassembling everything, and that's the next key. So anyways, hope you're ready, and let's get back to it and put it all back together. All right, so first, now we got everything cleaned out in here. So we got the bearings. Here we got the internal race. We're not going to need that. We're not going to replace that internal race, so I'll just put that in the box, put it to the side. And here's the bearing. So the first step is, let's put this thing back together here. Did get a little sandpaper here, and I'm gonna just kind of clean up this edge right here where that rust had built up, just to make sure when we put it all back together it goes in smoothly, and don't have to worry about that anymore. So we'll just go through, clean those kind of rust areas where it had build up, mainly on the edges where it connects and meets. You don't want to really hit the inside of it, anywhere the bearing actually rides. But anyway, so that should be good. And then I'll get the dirty rag, kind of wipe it out. And then I use these tubbo towels here, and I'll just, these are lifesavers. You can get them at O'Reilly's or at Lowe's, and then I'll clean all that excess stuff off. Okay, so next step is, I usually get a tub of this marine grease from Master Pro. Get it at O'Reilly's also. This is a new can, so I'll open it up and scrape all that excess off. That's trash. And then what I like to do is take my bearings and just get grease all inside my bearings and get them packed. So I'm gonna go pack them really well. Make a mess. Then next what I'll do is I'll just come in here with that grease that's on my gloves, put it around all where that seal goes. Kind of put that all in there. Get that all going good. Then you can set that bearing in there as such. So the next step is the seal. Here's the oil and grease seal. That bearing was an A17 for any of y'all that have a Ramblin' trailer. A17. This grease seal from O'Reilly's is a 442251 replacement part. So then I'll come in here and I'll just put a little grease around this edge here just to make sure it goes nice. I'm gonna fit this. Looks like it goes on great. So I'll pull that off. Okay, so now we got a little grease on our seal. Got a little grease on the seal. I'm going to set this in here as such. And then I'm going to take my hammer. I'm going to try with my hammer first. If not, I have a socket with the same diameter as the seal to put it evenly in. I'm going to just see if I can easily get this going. Of course, I just purchased this. Couldn't find ours. There it goes. Just kind of evenly tap that all the way around. That looks good. It's nice and smooth. Okay, so that's that part. I may even just go in and shove some grease in here. I'm going to come in here, put grease all on this shaft. Greased up. Next is I'm going to come in. I'm going to pack some grease inside the actual shaft where the spline goes. And put that in there. Just kind of pack it up with grease so that way I don't have to fill it all completely up. And go on. Okay. All right, let's see if we can put this on now. Next up is our parts. So we have our parts here. I'm going to lay them out here. And then get my other seals. So the front seal bearing is an A4. It's an A4 is the front bearing. I'm just going to replace the actual bearing part. So again, I'm going to dip it in here and work that grease all into my bearing. And then I can shove that bearing in there. Next up is going to be your washer. We're going to start putting this on. And what I'll do is I usually kind of go in and I'll put a little tighter. As you see, just to make sure everything seats right. And then I'll back it off just a touch. Make sure there's no play in that, because that's what's going to keep you on the highway. Next, we go back in with the cotter pin. Just push that up. There it goes. Okay, so now my cotter pin's in. No shake, grease. I'll come in. And turn it as such. Clean my tools. Okay, so the next part of this is getting this back in here. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and just hit this with a little sandpaper just to get some of that grime off and remove any grease. And then I'll put a little bit of grease around this seal just to get that in there. Kind of center that up. Take my hammer, my new Alright, that looks good. Then I'll put my grease gun in here and start pumping it up. Clean that grease off. Now what I'll do is come in here and pack that up with grease. Now I clean this all out, the cap, but I will go ahead and pack that with grease also. And everything ready to roll. Get my pliers. This has a seal on it, so you want to make sure it's not tight, but tight enough that the grease isn't going to blow out on the highway. And that should be good. Then I take a little grease. Again, in salt water, you cannot have enough grease. And then I just kind of coat everything real well. And that is that portion. So now we got new bearings, new seal, rear seal. Looks like it spins good, and I'll check it. Feels free, no wiggle in it. So that put the tire on. But first I wanted to clean all this old grease. I don't know if you can see it very good. It's all in here on this. So I'm actually going to use another one of these turbo towels and start wiping. It's got road stuff and everything built up on the rim. Old grease. Looks good, as you can see. So now the next part is just put the tire back on. So get this up here. That's on. I already have grease on all the lug nuts. Get this all buttoned up and we're done. Hey guys, this is Captain William Townsend with Staked Out Podcast. We just replaced all the bearings, got a tire put all back on, so it's all looking good. Got it all tightened up and greased up. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Leave any comments if you would like. I'll definitely get back with you as soon as possible. Anyways, be sure to hit us up on Instagram and Facebook and follow us for our next tips and tricks. Hope y'all guys are doing well. We'll see you guys out on the flats.